Thank you for showing up. I'm sitting on the side of the road on the way up to, I'm done for the week. I had a cool couple weeks. A week ago Sunday, my office is open the first Sunday of the month. We did some patient care, worked through Thursday. Friday morning, I took off to California. I talked Mod 1 about 12 to 14 hours. I tried to get as many. I think I adjusted almost everybody. And hopped on a red eye and cruised home and took care of some people this week. Just got done and drove about an hour and a half, and I'm heading up to the mountains, and I'm sitting on the side of the road here to talk to you a little bit about my my passion. And if anybody knows me, my passion is chiropractic. Okay. My passion's chiropractic, and it's like the vehicle of chiropractic has helped me a great deal in who I am and who my life is and everything today. So I want to share with you a little bit about that journey, because I've been on a mission for about 20. All right, I'm going to mute a couple people. You miss them. You're killing my mojo, man. I like to get a little chiropractic vibe going before I get going. And so 20 years ago, I went to chiropractic. 24 years ago, I went to chiropractic school, and I came out on the other side, an upper cervical doctor. And the reason I was an upper cervical doctor, just in retrospect, is it because it gave me a method and a system that says you can go from here to there. That is the system. There's really nothing like that in chiropractic. You can go from here to there. Okay, everybody else says you could put a scope on them and you can change stuff, but change is not here to there, you know. So I liked that, attracted me, and I got really involved in the numbers and the biomechanics of chiropractic, because that's the way universal intelligence made me, and that's the reason I went to mechanical engineering school and graduated as an engineer. So that's where my frequency resonates. And I was attracted to the number system in chiropractic, and that's really the whole upper cervical deal, okay? So I went through some experiences there that were really important, that took me to a place where I didn't have any place to go for somebody to help me. I didn't have any place to go. And I certainly didn't feel comfortable. And I had these certifications that I didn't feel comfortable with myself, helping myself. And I had no other choice. It was either leave chiropractic because I was unhappy, okay, or suffer. And I decided that I would just suffer. It's the truth, and I hope you guys can appreciate that, because I know you guys have to feel that same way. When somebody comes into your office and you were told that you can do something, and that if you did this, this, and this, you would get that, pop, 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 add a little flour, add a little sugar, throw a piezoform in there, and you got a beautiful cake, man, called an adjustment. Well, it just, I don't know about you guys, but my experience, it didn't work that way for me. And it was frustrating, really frustrating. And I just started asking questions, and I said, okay, this is my destiny, is to start asking some of these questions. I've been through these experiences of mechanical engineering. I've been through experiences of chiropractic, and I've learned from some phenomenal people, phenomenal mentors I've had, and they ran out. So I started to ask questions about what's really going on, and the question of when am I done really is a big culmination of that. And unfortunately, this webinar is not going to give you any answers. It's just going to tell you what I know, okay? Because it's easy for me to say when am I done is to say, listen, buy a posture IQ, stick them on there, measure them, and when they're 0 to 3 pounds, hopefully on the other side a little bit, they have a balanced system, okay? And the twists are not counter-rotated, and they're within 0 to 3 millimeters, and you'll be happy, and you're good to go. That's great. But the question is how do you get there? And that's really the question of when I'm done. Okay, so we're going to talk about that tonight, and I'll tell you what I can tell you on this. Okay, where I've been. Okay, but this thing right here, before I even get done with this conversation or even begin it, okay, it's like, when is this conversation ever going to be done? Okay, is look at this and ask yourself, when are you done? And what is possible? That's really the better answer. Better question is, what is possible here? Is it possible to fix this? We hear the word fix. I fixed it. I've yet to see any proof of that anywhere. If somebody would like to show me something that somebody fixed that 10 times in a row, I'd like to see that. Okay? So our job is not to fix this. We are not done by fixing this. But QSM3 and my experience says there are things that as you go through the process of learning how to understand this better and how to release this better, then you have an opportunity to say when you are done. Okay? And that's okay, man. That's a good place to be. Okay? Because I can expedite that for you. Okay? So this is a busy, complicated, frickin' system that has been breaking down all the time with 2,000 pounds on top of it when they walk out of their office, when they're in their office, when they're sleeping. Okay? Our job is not to fix this. Our job is to try to get this to a place that it can support itself energetically. Okay? And nobody speaks about that in chiropractic. We say, when this bone is in this place, I'm happy. Or when I rub this machine up the back, that means I'm happy. Okay, well, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. And because of that simplification that we've done to ourselves and done to the public and done to the medical profession and the other healthcare providers that are out and about, you know, we've lost our punch, man. So I aim to bring that back, okay? And the reason I aim to bring that back is because it's true. You know, I said to one of my patients today, I said, for the first time in my life, okay, in the past 3 months, I really believe, okay, what everybody else was saying about chiropractic, meaning how awesome it is. 20 years to say that. Wow. Okay, so I want to share that with you, and I can't share that in a PowerPoint, you know, for sure. And so let's start at least having that conversation, because we're certainly not doing it anywhere else. So there's some things that go into stages of being done, okay? And the first thing that you have to have is you have to be able to have some accuracy and precision, okay? Which really means you need to have some measurability, and you need to have some repeatability, okay? And those two things, okay, that measurability and that repeatability, give you one thing. And I love this thing, predictability, okay? They give you predictability that nobody has in chiropractic. Nobody. Okay? So you got to have some measurability, my friend. So, you know, when are you done? Okay, what are you using for your profession to say that I'm doing the best work that I can at the level that I can? Seriously. Okay? I mean, at some point, you know, you got to say, man, I want to step up to that plate, and I want to use the tools that are available so that I can do better work. And there are levels to that, okay? This is not tonight sell posture IQ. This is making sure you get some good scales, you know? This is making sure that they're level, you know, making sure that you have a grid, making sure that you're doing everything that you can with whatever, and it boils down to one thing. It really boils down to your finances, you know? So your finances will dictate the things that you buy, but what you buy, you should buy good stuff. I told my wife when I started practice, because I was in business many times before I was in chiropractic school. I said, I learned one thing when I go to be a chiropractor, I will only buy the best. Okay, if that means I can only afford one chair, I'm going to buy one chair for my reception room, but it's going to be the best chair. Okay, because I don't buy garbage. All right, so that's the first step, and look at the things that you're using within your reach to say, hey, you know, you can't be out of sync with your mouth and your actions. If you're out of sync and you're not resonating, man, you're not in phase with yourself. Okay, you got to flow with the universe, man, and the flow has got to be, you got to be able to be in that place where, you know, you're putting out the best foot forward. Okay, what makes sense to you and what you say to people should also make sense to you. Okay, so the next thing is functionality. Okay, and that is, you know, really the relationship that you have with the understanding of your measurability. Okay, how much stuff, how much information, okay, are you comfortable with? What are you looking at? Okay, are you looking at a bone out of place or a low shoulder? Or are you looking at the whole structure of the human body and understanding that it's had trauma, understanding that there is a neurological response to it, there is gravity, and there is time? I can look at a full spine x-ray or a human posture and tell you the story about it, okay, how it's been traumatized, how it's neurologically responding, how gravity is affecting it, and how it's degenerating and it's stressing. I can tell you the normal relationships that it's having and the abnormal relationships neurologically and structurally. I don't know if it's 100% correct, but it's for the first time in chiropractic, I can have a conversation that nobody else is having except the end result. And you've got to be able to understand that functionality. Because if you want to correct something, the human body has broken down over time and multiple traumas, and multiple times it's trying to organize itself to create some set of energetic state that is not going to crush it. That's what it's doing. It's alive. And QSM3 and the relationship that I have with human posture is alive. Okay? So this is an important part of the process of helping people and knowing when you're done. Okay? And the next piece is kind of the piece that is missing. It's kind of the dysfunction between measurability and ability. You have techniques that look at the touching, the feeling. They say, can you feel the pulse of that? Can you feel the energy in that? Those people are checking into something different than the measurability people. The measurability people are mechanical, and the ability people are art and touch. Okay. Well, you need to have all of these things, okay? And that's what we're going to look at tonight, are these three areas of measurability, understanding what you just measured, and understanding the relationship of that, functionality, and then how is your ability to hit the ball, okay? You may know the greatest rules in town, but you can't hit a damn thing out of the park, okay? So what's your best level? What's your best level, and what are you doing for it? So if you look at this listing, what this says here is a QSM3 postural listing. And it says, we're not going to get into the details of this, but it says that the right hip is low, that the fixed point is left, okay? And the fixed point is L5 relationship to the VP. How the spine sits. Is it tilting left or is it tilting right? Okay, where is it short? Where is it tilting? Where is the myofascial system short and in asymmetrical tension? That's what these letters represent. So low hip, fixed point, and weight. On the other side of the equation is the low shoulder, the bow, the neck, and the head. These 6 things have a relationship. And everybody on here is looking at it in a different way. There are people on this conversation that are looking at it and say, I have no idea what he's talking about. Okay? There are people on here that say, oh, look at this, P5 and A9, there's a counter twist between the shoulders and the pelvis. There are people on here that says, look at, the low hip and the weight are opposite. We look at it and say, hey, guess what? The pelvis and the biomechanics of the fixed point, the spine, are in opposite frontal planes. There are people on here that are looking at the other side, and we're looking at this side of the equation and that side of the equation, and they're having a lot of insights that they didn't have before. Because if we look at this, this is what that represents, this right here. And there's a story of the structure, which is the physical trauma, the way that the body responds and compensates by putting the head up on center, and the collapse of the human body, and there's a relationship to all these letters. And I would be first to say that if we understand the relationships of the structures of the human body, first we have to identify those structures. Okay? And there's 6 of them that QSM3 looks at, which means there's a lot of possibilities. We'll get to that. But you can look at this postural listing and say, man, I could see dysfunctions in here through the human body, and like building a building, you can release those things from the cervical area so that you actually stack the system one by one by one from up top, releasing the sections and stacking them up, not just the head, not just the atlas, but every single structure, using the measurability, using your knowledge of the measurability, and then your ability to release it. That's cool. And that's what I do every day on every patient. Okay? So, questions so far? That's kind of like my philosophy thing right there, to give you an overview with a little passion and hopefully a lot of universal intelligence. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this listing tonight, and we're going to find out, and we're going to just have some conversations about when you're done. Okay? And I'm going to give you some things to think about, okay? And usually the things that I ask you to think about are reflective to yourself. Okay, so reflective to yourself. So you'll look at them and you'll go, okay, you know, there's something for me. Okay, none of this information is to say, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. What it should do is you should see what pieces go, man, that's interesting, and that's the one that you follow, because that's the one that's going to bring you to some new information, the one that resonates with you. Okay, so in my office, I use some measurability. I use x-rays, okay? Now, I used to use x-rays as a means to measure and to help me move something back in place from a lever system, okay? That's not what I do anymore. I use an x-ray to really show me the relationships that I see on the outside, I also see on the inside, also to see the degeneration, and to have some type of idea of the length of time based on, the x-ray itself and its relationships and its degeneration, some type of care that may be needed, so I can come and be specific with each patient on each, with each care plan. Okay, so I take x-rays on people. So I used to measure a vector. I don't measure a vector anymore because a vector is not what I do, okay? I don't do that. A human being is not a vector, okay? At one time, that was done for me, okay? That was done. I measured the vector. I adjusted it. I looked at the legs. They looked good. I said, okay, I got you. Adios. I touched them 5 times and off they went. That's not done for me anymore. I don't live in that place anymore. Okay? So what I use religiously is a grid and a posture IQ. Okay? So I don't use a grid. I use a posture IQ. Most of the times I have people check people for me. Okay? So I use a grid and a posture IQ. And those were a very important, those are both very important, were very important items for me. Okay, up to a point, even the posture IQ. And I'll tell you, so now I'll tell you something on the other side of the posture IQ. Is that what I like to do is I like to look at people's posture where I'm at now and just look at them and just see what's going on. What an idea. What an idea in chiropractic. How many people do that? I used to look at a film to determine how to correct a three-dimensional complex human body of 206 bones and 650 muscles. I used to look at a plastic two-dimensional film with a couple lines on it. That's not what I do now. Okay? What I do is I look at the whole human body and try to understand what's going on. So if you're not doing that, you should start doing that. Because when you start doing that, you're going to go, oh my God, look where this is collapsing. Look where this is this. And then you'll see at first, you'll see the dysfunctions. And then through the process of what we do in QSM3 is we start looking at the human body and saying, okay, this is the way to get this thing moving in the right direction. We start having that conversation. So it's through the posture IQ and the grid that I get the most important thing that I work with every single day, and that is a posture listing. And that was this number, this grouping up top. If I can look at that on any single person, I can tell you the relationships that are not working right, the neurology that's not working right, what gravitational stress has done to that system, where the system is breaking down and stressing, and how the neurology is functioning up in the head. It's cool, okay? And I can have a conversation of how you're supposed to release that. So I didn't have that before, so the level that where I'm playing, just like all of us, is there's a level to being done. But it starts with understanding this postural listing. So if you're not doing that, then that's the first step that you should start looking into so that you can increase your place of where you'll be done. Okay? Questions? Okay. So the next step for that to being done is understanding the relationships. Okay? So inside the postural listing, there is information here that says this system is breaking down and collapsing at a way that is not biomechanically normal. Okay? Now that's an interesting conversation. What is biomechanically normal? You know, I imagine that there's some people on this call that have been in practice for more than 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And what is biomechanically normal? What is the relationship between the upper structures and the lower structures? What is the relationship between the low shoulder and the low pelvis? What's the relationship of the spine to those two things? What's the relationship to the rotation, so forth and so on? What is normal? Okay? So it starts with understanding this information right here as the postural listing, that we can actually start seeing things are not normal. So in this listing itself, okay, the R and the L are not together. They are not the same. That is what we call not balanced, okay? Actually, let me take that back for a second. Just erase that for a second. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gone that direction. I'm going to go with balance. So there is, in this relationship right here, a concept of whether the system is balanced or not balanced. And the question is it balanced? Okay? And the answer is, it is not balanced. The reason for that is that these three structures here in the beginning, the RLL, should be all the same. And they should oppose these three structures here on the other side of the equation. So if I had a LLL here, I should have an RRR there. That is a balanced equation. That is a balanced biomechanical system. And I'll explain why in just a moment. So if you have a postural listing, these three structures here and these three structures there should be opposing and all be the same. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get into the little idiosyncrasies of how these should be the same and why they should be the same, but we have a low hip, we have a fixed point, which is the spine, and the weight. They should all be biomechanically on the same side. Okay? They should all be left, so they all should be rights. And then the neurology of the body, which is the shoulder, neck, and head, which is the riding reflex, should restore that balance on top. So if all this goes left, all that goes right. If that's the case, you have a balanced system like this. Okay? Guys, I'm going to ask you to put your mute on, please. Okay. Thank you. Beautiful. Ms. Helgerman. Stinker. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so, again, what is being done? Okay, I'm telling you, at one point, I looked at an X-ray, and I drew a line, and I took a post, and if the X-ray was everything was moving together as a unit, okay, everything was reducing equally, okay, and I restored a certain level of vertical, I was done, okay? That was when I was done. And I remember posting people over and over and over. There were people that I posted 7, 8 times, I remember, X-rays, all right? Different world these days, okay? Because I'm working at a level that isn't looking at the end result, meaning the atlas is out and the head is tilted and the neck is off. That's really mechanism of just looking at an end result. I'm looking at the relationship right now of all the structures and as they relate to each other in a tensigral system, which is the current model in biomechanics and anatomy for the human body. So this system right here, for it to be balanced, needs to look like this. Okay? Very simple. So there's levels, again, to being done. How do I go ahead and look at this and understand that that should happen? Okay? Or how do I look at this and even know that it should happen, and then from that point, how do I get it finished? So one of the first things that we look at is looking at how this thing decompresses and opens up. That is a level of that of being done. So I can go ahead and adjust this person, and the rotation, which is that P5 and A9, stay the same. Okay? That's not cool. That's not decompressed. Where this one, things may be reducing a little bit more, and it's starting to decompress. And here, down here with the A3 and the A2, which is the rotation in the system, and the rotation is a direct indicator of how compressed it is, that this system is now compressing, decompressing. So in QSM3, we open people up three-dimensionally, which is a tensegrity model. Gravity compresses, we see it over the grandma effect, and opening it up over time before we even can try to make it orthogonal. Okay? Because everybody's in a compressed state, so you can't just move everybody to orthogonal. That's why it doesn't, that's why that system jams up all the time. Okay? So you need to open people up. So we have a decompressive process in QSM3 within the way that we adjust, within the line of drive that we adjust in, that allows people to open and go ahead and release what we would call integrate, balance, and create normals, okay? But the goal of every person first is to decompress these numbers here and to create a balanced equation. That has to happen. There is a level of doneness to that, okay? There is a level of understanding the patterns of the misalignment and looking at this and say, okay, what is this pattern doing and how is it functioning and where is it breaking down? Okay, so if these all should be left, it's obvious that this guy on the bottom here, that right, is the troublemaker. It's pretty straight up. So I have to release that right tension, okay? Everything in QSM3, these letters represent is which way it's tilting. And tilting means shortening, closer to the ground. Anything that's closer to the ground is under tension and short. And muscle system shortens. It doesn't elongate first and then shorten on the other side. Muscles contract, and then the other side elongates. The fascia then creates tension on the other side so the person doesn't fall over. Okay? So in QSM3, we look at everything that's short. Gregory talked about it, man. I mean, you know, the lower angle, it's tilted, man. You got to get that up and open first. Okay? It's just that that only looks as a representation of two of the balloons of a 5-balloon system. Okay? So we're looking now not just at the top 2 layers, which is the neurology. We're looking at the structure underneath and how it's been damaged and how the head and neck respond and create balance. Okay? I mean, that's a conversation about our business, that we can look at a full spine and say, this happened in trauma, the body responded neurologically here, and it compressed over time, and here's a measured system. That's a conversation of an alive system. It's fascinating to me, especially since I used to look at that bone over there is rotated 2 degrees. That's not a relationship. That's not an understanding of how it happened, why it's going on, or any level of how to fix it. Because there's 205 other ones of them that are equally out of place. That's called the bone system. So we have a neurology that's involved in that bone system to try to support it, called the myofascial system. And those are the 3 things that we look at under gravity and time. And there's patterns to people's misalignment, okay? So I want to just tell you something funny, okay? Just for the heck of it, all right? Chiropractors look at a bone out of place, okay? Well, there's 206 bones and 650 myofascial muscles, okay, plus. So there are a lot of possibilities of how that bone got there. Zillions, okay? If you look at, you know, it's 2 sections out of place, you know how many possibilities you have? 4, okay? That's where Dr. Gregory got the 4 types. Because in a 2 possible system, you only have 4 possibilities. Do you know how many you have in a 6 possible system? 720. Okay? And I'll tell you that I have this equation, if people like Brad and Andy and Hassie, you guys right here, this is probably one of the biggest breakthroughs that you will go home and you will move your bow to this side over here like I did that I told you a few weeks ago, and you will be able to look at this system now and say there's a whole level of being done. Because you're going to see that if this system here and that system there are not opposing each other and they're not congruent within themselves, meaning LLL on the other side of RRR, or RRR on the other side, meaning the bottom 3 go right and the top 3 go left, or the bottom 3 go left and the top 3 go right. That's what this is. This is a structural and neurological system, and the compression's in the middle. It's freaking awesome. You can look at this thing now and say, I know what I got to do. And the idea is, how do you have a conversation about what's going on and what do you got to move? And then what are the checks and balances? I can tell you, I'm going to do this because it's going to do that to this to this, that to that, and it's one shot does it all. In a 720 possibility system, I can give you a reason for one of them for sure. And I can play the other side of the fence, but there's a best case scenario. If that interests you, you need to come to Atlanta. Okay? So the goal is to get this thing balanced, okay? Get it coplanar, okay? And get it to reduce. That is the goals that we have. It is not to fix the person. It is to create a balanced system where the bottom and the top are sitting on top of each other. And that's what the human body wants. How do I know? Because the two biggest proprioceptive beds tell me, and where they are tells me that that's where that belongs. And that's why that system does that, is because the body always wants to balance the top over the bottom. C0, C1, C2, and L5 sacrum. Two biggest beds of proprioceptive systems. End of story. They balance, create vertical. But we can't create orthogonal. It's impossible. Somebody show me a set of full spines and show me that they did that 10 in a row. Show me. Anybody. It ain't going to happen. But what we can do is we could take up a scrambled up system and create balance in it and then reduce it so that it goes like this. Let me see if I can get a pen going here. So we take a system that's all like that. Can you see that? Ah, shoot. Can you guys see that?
A little bit.
No. Okay, so you saw the way I drew it. Just watch. A system that does this. Can you see that? That you can see right now, right?
Yeah.
That's all scrambled up. To a system that does this, balances itself, head over pelvis. You see that? Okay, but the problem with that is those numbers are big. That's leaning out. It's compressing. So what we want to do is, over time, reduce it to that kind of idea. Okay? So then you have levels of done when you're able to do that. Okay? So at the end of the day, you want to take this system right here, and you want to get to 12 down to 0 to 3 pounds, and you want to get all this twist uncounter-rotated. It's all counter-rotated. You want to get that so they're coplanar, meaning they're both on the same side. The shoulders and pelvis are the same. And you want to reduce the rotation down to 0 to 3. Pretty straight up. If, there is a level to that people go, okay, that's what I strive for. And that's really kind of, the mechanics of, what I used to do. I'm going to adjust them, and when I balance the legs, I'm done. I'm adjusting them. When I get a straight line, I'm done. I'm adjusting them. When my film tells me that the atlas is in a good place, I'm done. That's it. There's levels to that. So this is a level in QSM3 for people that say, hey, man, I just want to shoot for that. There was a time where I did that. It's a cool place. All these places are cool, by the way. Every one of them. Okay? The thing about me is that none of them are cool for long enough. I mean, who'd ever want to use an iPhone 1 for frickin' ever? That's no fun, man. I have fun in my office every day because I look at this every day, not to get an answer, but to get another possibility. Seriously, man, I'm the only guy on the planet that can look at the human body and have a conversation about what's happening to it. Only guy on the planet. I used to be uncomfortable to say that. I'm not uncomfortable to say that. It's not for my ego either. Shouldn't be that way. That's why I'm sitting here at a freaking gas station doing a webinar. Oh, man. Okay. So, guys, you can know the biomechanics. You can say, this is a opposite angle. This is a rotated pelvis. This is a PRS. This is a high plane line. This is a type 2. Great. This is cancer. This is rheumatoid arthritis. This is a migraine. This is a fibromyalgia. This is trigeminal neuralgia. And every one of us vomit when the medical model does that, and we preach about it and we preach about it, right? But I used to do that. I used to say that's mechanism, but this is vitalism. That's not true. Okay? So after I got to a place where I learned the biomechanics and I said, okay, this is at least a conversation. And hear this. Next week, I hope I learn something or you learn something. That's really what this is about. This is about me getting you to a place for now that you can actually make your own decisions when you look at this every day in your office. Every day in your office, when you look at that right there, that you say, okay, the low hip is right, the fixed point is left, they got weight that's 12 pounds. You could say that's a jam pattern, and the fixed point and the pelvis are not coplanar, and that's biomechanically incorrect. That this is counter-twisted, and everything is breaking down right neck, right shoulder, right neck, okay? That's all cool, but the neck is kinking back the wrong way. So what is a release that sets that person up, that unwinds everything, that brings the weight over to the left, that kicks the head that it doesn't need to subluxate anymore, okay? That untwists this thing of this counter rotation between the shoulder and pelvis and restores the pelvis underneath or the fixed point of the weight over on the other side. What's going to do that? It's a complicated conversation. So all we've done is broken the ground to at least have a conversation. That's the cool thing about QSM3. Okay, that's really when done is done. It's never done, man, because this is complicated. We make it small by saying it's high 4 anterior 2, PRS, even 6 letters. It makes it small. But we need to have a conversation that includes the gravity, includes the neurology of the body. Otherwise, we're just looking at a corpse. Okay? So from that place of the conversation that I just had of the relationship between the lower and the upper, the rotational components and the compression, the neurology versus the physical and the trauma, okay? Once you understand that and you go, okay, I got the patient placement set up, and I understand that, and you step up and you see the misalignment looking in front of you, okay? Then what do you do with your hands?
Feel.
Okay, good. And that's what happens is at the end of the day, okay, connecting and feeling that misalignment in there, and we'll talk about it a little as we go through this, that's the name of the game, okay? Because you can't just be a great referee and know some of the rules. You got to be able to hit the ball, okay? And you can't hit the ball, you know, unless you get some practice, okay? So we're going to get some practice. So one of the first things is, how do you get your mass up against the misalignment, okay? I used to adjust with my arms. I adjust with my whole body now, okay? It's not a static adjustment where I'm compressing my chest into the person. It's a natural motion, like a karate swing, like a baseball swing, like a golf swing. These are normal motions. So in QSM3, we get our mass moving like you would have a baseball swing, like a golf swing. It's natural. It's so unnatural the way I used to adjust. Okay? So if you're unnatural, you lose your sense of feel. So we use a piezoform contact, and we start feeling for what is called asymmetrical tension. And the asymmetrical tension is, imagine a balloon that you twist it. All those lines that run from top to bottom, that's asymmetrical tension. Well, the human body, okay, when it gets knocked off center and it bends back with the way it compensates and the way it collapses under gravity, creates muscle spasms and asymmetries, shortening and lengthening. D.D. Palmer felt the bump on the back. Okay? I used to see the effects of it as the head was tilted and the neck was bending. Now I understand why it does that, even better. Okay? Motion and palpation looks at the rigidity of the joints as the body is locking down. Desjardins would feel the occipital fibers and look at the pelvic relationships and the CSF flow based on that breakdown as well. Every technique looks at a piece of what we're talking about in full tonight. And it starts with understanding that we're not a pile of bones, but we're an asymmetrical system. And if you want to release the bones, you got to release the tension, okay? If we are a balloon system called tensegrity, when it bends off center and it breaks down, the body then activates the muscle system. And that's why the people get pain first, and then we see the collapse and blah, 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 blah. Okay? The body starts collapsing. So what do you think happens? The blood pressure goes up. So upper cervical is still looking above, and it's just the whole system is increasing pressure on the inside. So the heart's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay? I mean, what we do is so relevant to everything that's out there in degeneration. We just need to be able to get this word out and also show that we're able to do it, which is hopefully it's stuff that I'm working on. So feeling what is in the system starts with recognizing and acknowledging that you're not just pushing on a bone and you're moving it at a 21-degree angle, blah, 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 blah. No. You are going into a system that is three-dimensionally breaking down from trauma and neurology and gravity. It's twisting all over the place, and the whole body is twisting as a whole kinematic system. One piece of 5 balloons stacked on top of each other, moving every which way possible, 720 different possibilities for that system to move, and then all within 360 degrees. And if you measure it all the way from the top, like a puppeteer, you can have a release point that is specific on the neck that unwinds the whole thing and releases that tension in the system. And when you release tension, the spring expands. Okay? So that starts by recognizing there is asymmetrical tension. And it's not a bone out of place. It's everything out of place. And from the top hub, where everything converges myofascially, we can go ahead and release everything up top. And we do that by grabbing the TPs. Okay? Because where do you think that myofascial stuff inserts? It inserts everywhere up top, especially C7 up to C0. And it's like a set of piano keys that we get to play. And it's not just C1. Why would you play one tune if you could play all 7 and 8? Because all those different attachments have muscles attachments from everything below that you get to release. Okay? So you got to be able to feel the asymmetrical tension, you got to feel the TP, and then you have to feel the path of the restriction. You're not limited to a high 4 anterior 2, a PRS. You touch it, you feel the restriction in there, and you start moving it. Just like there was something, you had your eyes closed and something was stuck, and I said, put your hand on that and try to break it loose or follow it through. It's real. It's real. It's not mechanical. And it's a whole lot more complicated than we think it is. Okay? When you're able to do those things, then maybe you're done. So after you can measure it really well, and you have a relationship that's really well, and you understand those normals, you can't fix something if you don't even know what normal is. You know what is normal. You know the sections. You know how to set it up. You understand three-dimensionally that you're going to untwist this thing like a screw coming out of a piece of wood, so you're going to set it all in a way that opposes the pattern of the misalignment three-dimensionally. Kind of like a mirror image kind of idea. Then maybe you're done. But then you got to go ahead and feel it. And you got to go find it. And then maybe you're done. Okay? And you got to be able to work those piano keys. Looking at this, I know where I want to touch. I know where I want to touch. Okay, is it C7? Is it C5? Is it anterior? Is it posterior? Is it S to I? Is it I to S? Where do I think the major attachments... Thank you, Dan. So where is it that when you look at this misalignment, do you see the myofascial system three-dimensionally that you can go into those piano keys up between C7 and C1 and release those tension lines? Where is that weight tension line? Someone had been practicing for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. They've been in chiropractic school for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. Where is the line that holds the weight? Where's the line that holds the neck? Where's the lines that hold the head? Where are the lines that hold the low shoulder? Where's the line that holds the fixed point? Where are the lines that hold the rotation? Where's the line that holds below the low pelvis at the TFL or the glutes that are flaming because they're screaming in sciatic pain on that right side? Where is that line? Where is that low shoulder where the person has frozen shoulder, which is every shoulder that's low? Anybody has frozen shoulder, it's the low shoulder. Okay, so how do you fix that? You can keep telling them to crawl their hands up the wall. That's not fixing it. That's function, not structure. Why don't we know these things? And why are we so, a better question is, why are we so opposed to knowing them? That's the question I want to know. Why are we so opposed to knowing them? It's not working well, what we're doing. We're all practice management. So when can you work that pipe, man? When can you work those piano keys? When can you feel that asymmetrical tension in there? And when you release the asymmetrical tension, which is like the moguls, I say to people, I got all the moguls out, but there is a pipe underneath this thing of the core muscles that I just can't get. I can't get that in a day. I can't get it probably ever. You know, I'm so happy that I actually realize that I can't do this in a day, that I can never do it. I can never fix it. I can never make it orthogonal, never. But I can create balance in this system, and I can, at the end of the day, I know when I'm done. It's the best freaking feeling. It's a great topic. Okay? I know when I got the collapse out. I know that after I release it, okay, and I work the piano keys, that something that was so jammed up and that I couldn't even move, and they go, oh, that hurts there. I worked that, and I played that song until I got to the pipe or it collapsed, and then I restored motion. Are you done just when you work the keys? Okay, I mean, how many people keep saying there, is it S to I or is it I to S? I don't know, you get in there, you got to find your own song, guys. I can't tell you three-dimensionally. Okay, look at this. Look at this poor lady right here. She's all twisted up. Look at her. Do you think that's an I to S or an S to I? Do you think that's a high 4 anti 2? Is that a PRS? I mean, there's three-dimensional tension going everywhere. Imagine going beyond that listing there, that posture, and going to a place where you feel it. And you feel it enough that you could play the keys. You feel the tension release, those moguls. You get down to the pipe. You collapse the thing. And then all of a sudden, the thing that was so rigid is now moving three-dimensionally in your hands, the whole cervical spine. And if things are moving up top, guys, guess what? Things are moving down below because it's one balloon after another on top of each other. Okay? So you can't have motion in a system unless there's all motion. Okay? That's levels of being done right there. So are you done there? Or it's just 0 and 3 millimeters, 0 to 3 pounds, leg check, heat. I took an x-ray 42 years ago. It told me you were good once. In 2 places. On a piece of plastic. Okay? So are you looking when somebody's down on the table and understanding that the neck is the hub where everything comes up and all the myofascial system inserts here. Everything inserts here, guys, from below. So if you got a rubber band, there's 2 ends. If you want to release the rubber band, you release it from either end. You can get everything here. Everything. It's your whole candy store. So are you looking at the patterns and the paths? When that person is laying down, is it just a posture listing and on this side I'm going to go I to S and S to I? Or are you actually looking at the three-dimensional visualization of what's going on, of the whole complexity of the thing, and understand from a tension model how to release the thing, kapow, and just set it off. Okay? I don't adjust like this anymore. Okay? I stopped being a machine. Okay? So that's when I said, the beginning, man, I said, you know, my upper cervical days were my days where I learned biomechanics, and I stretched my mind. My days of QSM3, and I did that in orthospinology and mechanical engineering, okay? And I taught biomechanics, okay, at that level. And now I play only on the other side. I use those biomechanics that have taken me to the other place. My biomechanics, my confidence in my biomechanics have taken me to the place where I can now play freestyle. I play freestyle. That's all I do. I just look at people and adjust them. And guess what happens if it doesn't work out? And I picked the wrong possibility, or a possibility that they didn't want to take. I come up with another possibility. I can do that. Why not? I always have two possibilities, and one of them makes more sense. But what an idea, besides walking back. I could have a conversation of why to adjust this person on the right or why I should adjust them on the left. At more complex than any other technique. On either side, I can make my own argument. At more complex than any technique that will tell you right side up or left side up. At more of a complexity, I know, I did it. That's cool, I like that. That doesn't create a problem for me, unless you want to adjust really like a Vulcan. Okay, I choose not to adjust that way. That's why I love to go to work, because I adjust now with my feelings and my hands. And I use measurability, don't get me wrong, nobody gets out alive without being on that posture IQ back and forth. Nobody. I never adjust somebody and say, see you later. You know, that just never, ever, never. Okay, but that posture IQ tells me what I'm not releasing. Okay?
Russell?
Or something, yes.
I think it's important to say you're not doing it randomly, saying I can freelance. It's freelancing within a system and an understanding.
Okay, so that brings me to my next slide. Thank you, Brad. Okay, so Brad is just ahead of the curve here, okay? So my results are not being random. How was that, Brad? How'd that work out for you?
That was good.
Yeah, very good, okay. Yeah, that's called connectivity. Okay, so guys, here's the deal. Okay, here's some of the deal. All right. So let me just tell you a little bit about me, okay? Is that when I was adjusting people mechanically, okay, there was a real important part of that in my life that was necessary for me to do that, okay? It gave me structure. It gave me standards. It gave me a system, okay? That's great. When you come out of school, you want to know a system. You don't want to just know a system in your chiropractic and adjusting. You want to know a system also in your business. That helps you because it gives you only one thing, and what is that? It gives you peace, okay? It gives you confidence. It energizes you from the inside out, okay? The more that happens in your life, where you feel like you stand a little bit higher on the mountain, you raise the level of your consciousness and your awareness to do higher work. And the reason for that, and this is a far reach, I'm sorry, okay? But the reason for that is that universal intelligence gives 100% all the time. It is only us that block it, okay? And if you want to be a machine, you are cutting out half of a third of who you are, and that's your soul. If you're just adjusting with your soul, you're not using your mind, okay? So you have to be able to have a balance between those things. And if you're too much like a Vulcan and too much I to S, and you never open your heart, you lose the feel of maybe just turning your body a hair and opening up a key, no different than you would feel a key with a lock. Do you do that mechanically? No, you would put it in there. All of you have done the little jiggle, okay? But you got to have confidence to jiggle first. You got to have the heart to want to jiggle. I mean, stepping out and stepping, guys, I stepped away from two methods that I was certified in. I stepped away. People would rather cut their throat than do that. I stepped away. And I stepped away because I said, you know what? I want to create balance in my life. And for me to create balance in my life, I needed to find the other half of that equation. And that other equation is where I adjust now. okay, within a method built on measurability. And that's the way I started in the beginning, is that I can measure it, I see it, and I could hit it. Okay? And, you know, it's easy for me to say that maybe on a webinar, but I invite any of you to come, man, to come and get some of that. Okay? It's real. It's real. Okay? And at the same time, you know, show me if you got something that you want to tell me that's better, but you got to show me. I invite you, I'll show you. Okay? Come to the conference in Atlanta. Okay? Now, to get to that place, and the place that I want to get to, you know what the beautiful thing about this is? 6 months I'm going to say, you know, I knew nothing. I love that, man. Okay? So, you can't be random. You got to start off with some structure. So people that may have or have not been to a conference or the webinars, or you have no idea what I'm talking about tonight, you got to start somewhere. And doing that is you step into a system and a biomechanics model, a module 1, and we build you to a module 2, and we build you to a module 3, and so forth. And it's really, really a beautiful step process now. It took me 7 years to kind of get to. And if there's people on this call that go, man, I've been with that guy for 7 years, he ain't kidding. Okay, because I've been all over the board. Because everything didn't come in like pieces. It came in pieces out of order. At least I couldn't figure them out. So we've been all over the board. And that's not the case anymore. Okay? We have an unbelievable, we have the most comprehensive system in chiropractic, bar none. Not just in the biomechanics, but in the neurology. Not just in the neurology, but also in the way that we release it, based on current biomechanics in the biointegrity world. So that all being said, you got to just do your best. And what is your best? Like I said, do you have the measuring stuff that you should have? Are you showing up to the webinars? Are you coming to the conferences? Okay? Are you picking up the phone and talking to me if you need me? Okay? It's all available for you. Okay? So those are levels of being done. Tonight is about getting you to raise that level. Okay? Because there's a place where you have to know also that a patient can't take anymore, and neither can you. That's the best I can do today. I used to not know that because I was told that it's supposed to work. Okay? But getting things done from a garbage pile isn't 0 to 60. That's baloney, man. I used to watch people that said that I've been holding my adjustment for 7 years. They'd walk down the hallway in front of me, and they'd be walking like freaking with a limp, like, you know, like they needed a cane. Fantasy stops today with me, okay? You have to decompress the system, you have to balance the system, and you have to reduce the numbers. And for that to happen, you have to understand a whole three-dimensional model. You have to understand that there are sections to that model, and you have to understand what normal is in the relationships, and then you have to start from there. The biomechanics is you have to be really kind to yourself in the whole process, okay? And you have to say, you know what? I remind Brad all the time. Brad, how'd you do? How were you doing 10 years ago, man, compared to what you know now?
Night and day.
Not even night and day. It's night and day, night and day, night and day all the time. I told patients today that what I've learned in the last 3 months is more than what I've learned up to that point. That includes all my chiropractic career. I've jumped that leap. Yeah. That's a leap of no fear. Okay? So the question is, let me ask you a question. What time you getting to work in the morning? Okay? What time do your patients start? How do you prepare yourself? What do you do to prepare yourself? What are you preparing yourself in your mind and your body and your spirit? You think Tom Brady just showed up like a half hour before and just suited up and, you know, had a couple drinks, had a big meal, you know, stayed up late last night? Doubtful. Okay. So these are 3 things that are really important. Your mind space has to be really open. Your body space has to be really healthy. And your spirit space, okay? How you connect, your emotional state, okay, of where you are and who you think you are as a person. All that stuff has got to be free. You got to be free, man. You cannot adjust if you're bogged up. You can't get in the zone, man. You already know this. This isn't crazy, but how do you get there? What are you working for? What are you doing in your life that's changing this? This is not a mechanical thing. Mechanical machines will never do what we can do. Never. Never. Can't now, can't later. If you think that's not true, please just show me. I'll show it. Yeah. Okay, it ain't. So after you clear everything and you step up and you're as happy as shit, okay, that's the space you need to be in. Okay, because that's the only universal intelligence truth, is that space of freaking just, unbelievable, filled with awesomeness. I don't mean egotistical awesomeness, but incredible strength in all parts of your body, your mind, your spirit. Then you can release the energy within somebody else. Okay? You can't break somebody else's resistance if you got stuff of your own. So one of the places that I stopped also is I stopped having expectations of what I thought should happen. Okay? I stopped having expectations. This should happen. Okay? I stopped doing that. Okay? I don't have that, because if you have an expectation and it doesn't happen, then what's that happening? That's the definition of suffering. You will suffer. So you have to get up to the place where you step up to the patient and have total, just total, it's just an energetic relationship, and you're having fun. I have fun every single day now. I never used to have fun. I used to be miserable. I never kept patience. I never kept people. Yeah, man. My people tell me what to do now. It's beautiful. Somebody asks me a question, I tell them I don't do that. I just do this over here, and that's, I point to the table. When do you want to see me again? I don't know. I don't do that. I do this. Okay? So I'm always in my focus. Okay? What are you doing when somebody's on the table? You talking about the football game? What are you doing? What's the music you play in your office? I have to adjust to music. I have to. I play whatever I want. I don't have the lights on in my office. It's dim. Okay? And I create an inside focus that is really, really deep for me and very strong. So when I'm getting ready, okay, I'm not up front talking to my front office lady about, this, that, or anything else. I don't care about that, ever. Never care about anything else except what I'm doing. And that's my focus with my patients. I don't talk about baloney. I let some other people do that. Teeter's on the call, he'll tell you. I talk only about what's important to me in my life, and that is to empower that person to know that that universal intelligence made them. I tell them, man, the manufacturer that made you is best. It has the best system to tell you when you're out of kilter. Okay, just like your car. You have a choice to cover that up or to do something about it. What do you want to do? It's all it is, and all the aspects of that. Nutrition, water, exercise. I talk health in my office only. Okay? Only. Okay? So when you have that focus of the measurability and you look at that person and you have that intensity and you go ahead and you understand the relationships, And then you go ahead and you set it up. And then you know where to touch it. And then you go ahead and you touch it and you connect with it. And then you know where to release it and the path to release it. Okay? And you've created that space in every aspect of your office. Every aspect of your office. When somebody walks into your office, they go, this is that guy. Yeah. Because you know what happens when you set that up? People like you show up. Because you just resonate. You prepare yourself for your office no different than you prepare yourself for life. Okay? And that you accept and love every single second of it. Okay? Because you're not controlling boo. I tell my patients, you don't control your heartbeat and you ain't controlling the sunshine. Okay? You don't control anything except one thing, the way you look at it. So I choose every single day to say that I am awesome and that I can help people, that I am fantastic and they are fantastic and I'm going to have a ball. And I don't mean that I'm fantastic in a way that's an ego, but in a way that empowers me, that says I can give to them because I have something to give. Seriously, it's unbelievable. I wish I could give you the Vulcan mind melt for it. It's unbelievable. I can't imagine going to work anymore and doing what I used to do. I'd rather cut myself. I was probably, and that's what it felt like. Okay? So you got to get in the game. Okay? And whatever that means to you, just be you. I don't want you to be me. Okay? I used to play disco on Thursdays. Now I play jazz. It's just who I am now. I told you the lights are down in my office. I got 4 dogs in the office. I don't put an x-ray up and you say, see the line over here? I talk to people about the relationships of their body and the misalignment and where there's stress. And they understand it. Okay? Because I'm talking to something that they can relate to, that's real. Can't relate to a line. They can't relate to a number. Okay. So that's what from imagination comes. Is that, look at this here. Look at this here. Say just the bending here. Okay, there's a person just holding up a plastic spine. It's time for us to understand that. And that only comes from when we are willing to say, I'm willing to imagine. That's all you got to say. Now, some people, I guess, don't want to imagine. Some people live in the same house for the rest of their life. Some people wear the same clothes their whole life. Some people always go on the same vacation. I'm going to Key West. I'm going to Key West. Dude, I go one place and I'm gone. Okay? So if that's who you are and you want to ride and you want to know what that means and you want to feel what I can feel, then you'll come hang out with me. Okay? It's that simple. Okay? And what I will do for you is to tell you to go fly on your own. And I'll give you the tools to do that. Because that's my game, man, is that if you can look at a patient and say, man, hey, Friedman, this is the way I want to do that, and this supports that, and that supports that, and I say, man, go do that, then my job is done, okay? Because there is not one way or the highway, okay? Because like I said, it's not the answer. It's what is the new possibility that universal intelligence is going to open up for me today, because it's already there. And if I was never open to that, guess what? We wouldn't have this conversation. And we'd still be talking a bone out of place. So if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And I've known this for a long time. And QSM3 has stepped into a place where I used to wonder, man, how am I going to go from a bone model to an energy model? Well, we put them together. That's the two ends of the spectrum. You know, that's the triune of chiropractic. That's the triune right there, is that meld. Okay? So when is it that you're done? Okay? Depends what you want to commit yourself to. You want to commit yourself to being better at this, then you'll grow and your done will never be it'll never be a done level. There'll be another idea and another possibility to step up to that person and to create better balance and better stability. That's cool. 720 possibilities to rearrange 6 pieces. That's cool. That's a lot. That's a lot of adjusting to see those. We got a lot of miles to go. And that's so exciting. It's kind of like, it's like Star Trek, to go where no man has gone before. And this truly is where no man has gone before. Okay. So you want to do that? I can help you with that. Okay. I can help you with that. So if what I've told you makes sense, if you dig on that philosophy that the human body is an energetic being, okay, then you come join the organization. Let's see if we can build an army of people that resonate, that say, hey, I want to change chiropractic back to a place that we look at the whole human body structurally to restore function of the body. We do it with measurability. We do it by understanding the normals, and we do it by our ability to touch people and release and feel and open people's lives up and restore them back to an up and open posture. Any questions? All right, good night.